I am kind of documenting the progress repair job on my Dual Deck cassette recorder, RCA model SCT-520. I'd had this in storage for a while, and I'm not sure if maybe moving it during storage, one of these buttons, the record button on the playback record deck, actually broke off. It's got little tabs that run under here and connect these buttons to each other, and it actually had snapped, and so the record button couldn't be used. I was going to take a button from one of the other decks, but I thought I'll just try to super glue it back on. I got it super glued, and then last night when I was trying to put this all back together, this thing is so old, I guess, that I was putting the screws in, and maybe I got the threads crossed a little bit or something, but it actually snapped off one of these plastic bits like this right here. It actually snapped it off, and so it's got little aligning tabs that I super glued the metal bracket here to those tabs, and then a piece on the back here in an effort to get all this back. So it's getting there, but I'll show off the deck here too with the logic board or circuit board. This has got a lot going on in it, but it actually is the only board that I've seen that identifies what each part of the board does. It's got the control, which handles all the speeds and the operations of the deck itself. It's got the OSC, which obviously has to do with the record, because it says record bias, so it has to do with the recording capabilities of the decks. It has record bias, potentiometers that you can adjust. It's got an equalizer that runs right here, and I can control the levels. So if I have maybe too low of a levels, I can just go in there and turn up those potentiometers and get a little bit higher levels out of them. Up here at the top, it's got the Dolby noise reduction. I believe it's Dolby. No, noise reduction. It doesn't have the metal, but just noise reduction. Dolby and automatic level control. It's got the Dolby. My camera doesn't have autofocus, but or zoom in where I can zoom in on it, but it's got the Dolby logo on this IC chip here. This is also part of the Dolby system. All this in here is part of the Dolby. This is the power, and it's got two nice big caps in it. I believe, let's see what they are, because they're quite large. Looks like 2200 microfarads. And it's got something here that I'm not for sure exactly what this is. I don't believe it's a resistor. I may be wrong. I'm not 100% sure with electronics yet, but it's got a heat sink on it, so it may be very well a bridge rectifier to convert AC to DC. With that heat sink on there, makes me think it's has something to do with voltage conversion, because there's not really reason to have a heat sink on it. There's no active audio out, it just has line level. And then it's got a just a simple matching transformer. This most likely is where the AC to DC conversion happens. So I'm still not for sure what this is. This may be like a voltage regulator. Then again, that's got to be what these caps are for too, to kind of regulate the voltage on the board. This may also be filters. Let me filter out the voltage from the rest of the board so it doesn't interfere with anything. And this could be a regulator, like I said. But not much in here. And then this is, take it out back here, the lot of mess up here. Get this out of the way. This is the deck itself. You know, Cassette Master and Cassette Master for sure would get a kick out of this one. It's a pretty basic deck. You know, I wish my phone camera had auto zoom. I could zoom in on it. So best just keep it afar. Does not have obviously does not have auto engage mechanisms. I like the decks that have remote control capability where you can engage the decks and have auto reverse and all that stuff. This is a very, very basic deck. Just by the design, it doesn't have much going on. They even went as lazy, I guess. I call it lazy because they used a single motor to run both capstans here, and that's just lazy in my opinion. You know, they could have easily put a motor on each side for each deck so that each deck could run independently. Maybe they thought running them together would help as far, especially the dubbing, because it synchronizes them at the same speed, because it has high-speed dubbing as well as standard playback. This does not have any kind of auto stop mechanism, which I believe the front of it says it does. No, it does not. But it does not have any kind of stop mechanism, so when the tape reaches the end, the motor keeps running, which they could have even used just a basic sensor switch that trips the deck from playing, hits it, trips it. I've seen, you know, like $5 dollar store cassette players. It's been a long time, but I've seen them. They even have just a cheap switch right there. A lot of them that have the sensor will have a little bar coming right about here on the play head, and when the motor's moving, but it's usually over actually on this side, I think it's tied in somehow to one of these sides on one of the take-up or the one of the reels here, because it's called reels. But I've watched too many Cassette Master recordings, but on one of these nubs. But it's usually got the little mechanism that detects if there's movement along it. It'll kind of keep it going in and out, and when there's no movement, it'll click it off. But this doesn't have anything like that on either side, actually. They're both identical. The only thing that this one added is the record head, and the way it was added, you almost could make this side recording. I mean, there's very little difference. I think the only, and of course you'd have to change out the play record head and the erase head. But I mean, really, you could swap parts out with these things because they're virtually identical on each side of the board. And actually, that'd be a future endeavor of mine if I could get. I'd have to get parts. The back of the board looks, or the back of the cassette deck looks virtually identical. So it's got sensor switches. It says on the front of it it's got auto tape select, so that must mean it automatically detects what deck to use. And since there's nothing on here, oh, there actually might be on the back here. Yeah, it's got a sensor right here, a little switch that's flipped. So when you press play, it engages. And then it's got a mechanism down here to sense if it's either that's, some of them this is to engage the record sensing, but this is on the play head, so I'm not really for sure what this is for because it's got a sensor on the back. The mechanism works clean. I don't have power to it, but it works very very smoothly. The belts are in good condition. This isn't that old of a unit. This was purchased probably in 2000. But like I said, I still think that they took the cheap way out to run these together. Running both of them off one motor. So that's been a look at this dual deck RCA model SCT-520. I get the repair complete. Post a video of operation. Thank you.